two hang-ups that the leadership is trying to...
The likes of Prevent Plant and what we've got now for the ground that can't be planted have never been tested even close to the means that they're being tested this year across the Midwest. Traditionally, they may see that in some of the southern states and dealing with some of the other crops, but we've never went to this extended period of a wet year where actually, in our opinion, it's not only the overhead moisture that we've dealt with, but right now we're dealing with such high groundwater issues. The water table has literally set and it's not moving, and so what appears to be dry on top is not underneath, so they can't get on this ground.
We want to plant the crop and we want to sell it. We want to sell it to whoever, we don't like the restrictions on trade that we have right now. That's really...
I have a real concern going forward on the decisions I make day to day on what I plant. I talk to Greg and the staff every other day, and the question pops into my head, and they had a client that said, hey, I've got this 40-acre field and I can't plant 20 acres of it. It was going to be corn. I think I'll just put beans in it. And they said, well, you can't do that because then you won't get your corn free that plant. And there's going to be a lot of farmers that they're just trying their hardest, and no one's been in this situation before. And I guess in that case, the guy's just trying to do the best he can and might be penalized for it.
We got 72 hours to report it after the 5th of a potential Prevent Plant, and it doesn't hold you to that. You can withdraw your claim if sometime after that you get planted. But starting on June 5th, for a period of 20 days, you go into what's called a late planting period. And during that late planting period, then your guarantee gets reduced by 1% a day if you're planting that crop, because typically you won't grow as good a crop. So once you get out realistically past the 10th, 12th of June, a lot of folks look and say, I'm probably going to get caught by an early frost. I'm planting in the mud and I'm planting in poor conditions. At this point, I'm not a good steward of the soil, and so I'm not going to plant.
You said you're on higher ground?
I'm on high ground, but any place on top of the field where the water didn't just take off, I mean, that's soaked in, and now in the middle of the hill, the water's just oozing out of the side of the hill. It's just like, I've never had water here before.
So how are you dealing with it then?
Well, we went around some of the wet spots. I mean, we got most of our corn, we mudded it in. It looks terrible. And
really?
We just got finished here a couple days ago for the first time. I mean,
So what'll happen then is just like low yields.
I can't think we're going to get
like
anything.
Miserably low?
It's going to be very disappointing. I mean, if we make 220 to 240 typically, and this year we probably, maybe 150 or 60 I'd have to be happy with. I have no idea.
And you've said this is like by far and away the worst situation we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
At least even in this area, and it sounds like the entire Midwest.
Yeah, normally 1 to 2% of our policy count of our farmers may have a claim on a Prevent Plant in any given year. It's just a real oddity. It just doesn't happen. They manage around it. The equipment that we've got nowadays, they can farm it quick. It don't take them long, but they need a window. They need some sort of a window. There has just not been a window this year whatsoever. So now we're looking at over 90% of our policyholders right now we've turned in for a potential of a Prevent Plant claim.
I don't know. We're paying. I mean, we've been out there about every other day trying to get water moving, and the water table's so high. I just think it's just not. I think it's exposed.
When you say get water moving, what do you like? Do you fill
surface drains? Yeah,
okay.
Make trenches.
Upbeat's not the right word, but I mean, you guys don't seem like you're like.
Can't change it. I mean, Mother Nature is in charge, so you can't.
You just accept it.
I've talked to a machinery dealer, and it just says you got to be careful what you say to some customers.
Oh yeah.
Some people are getting pretty testy.
We've seen a lot of very depressed folks.
So how's that playing out? Talk about that.
It's tough. I mean, we've heard the bottom of the barrel speech with some folks, and it is tough.
They're getting emotional.
Very emotional. Yeah, it's getting personal. Like one gentleman says, it's getting real now.
Yeah.
So when you look at the numbers, it's not playing out. The folks that are trying to plant, like you said, they know they shouldn't be out there because it's not doing anything good for the ground for the next 2 or 3 years as well, when you start tracking the ground up like that. So now you're teetering between, if my Prevent Plant payment's not adequate to what I feel, and I'm trying to get a crop off that ground, but yet I'm also at risk now of hurting the next 2 or 3 years as I take that crop off with the tracks that I'm going to make and the compaction that I'm going to create in that soil.
So everybody's trying to do what they can. I mean, and I'm amazed. I mean, guys, they want to plant. Nobody wants to collect a check and sit down for the summer.
Right.
They want to plant. They want to take. That's in the nature. I mean, they're optimistic. They're still optimistic, and it amazes me sometimes. But there's a lot of critical situations out there right now.
There's so much that's out of their control when it comes to weather, and they're used to that. But they are seeing weather they've never seen in their entire lives that they're having to contend with. So that's one side of it. The other side, though, is the unpredictability of the government. And that's a problem. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be this way. Literally, out in Washington, D.C., we don't know from one day to the next what's going to be happening with tariffs. And, you know, we have to react to what's coming out of the administration. And so that is adding this extra layer of unpredictability. And, you know, these are people who, we need them to be successful. We as a nation need them to be successful. And, you know, we're standing right in the middle of where this is corn country, this is soybean country, and they're hurting right now. We need to do what we can to make things more predictable.